Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Styleogram podcast, the place where you learn the latest trends, who wore what at which fashion event, and get to hear the hidden beauty and fashion tricks from our celebrity guests. Before we dive into our interview, I want to give you a quick recap of my favorite runway shows from Amazon Fashion Week that took place in Delhi recently. We loved Amit Agarwal's dreamy collection iCloud, where models moved around the crowd in dramatic glitter and sequin waist, recycled doll eyes and pom-poms. Masaba, on the other hand, took inspiration from the Big Apple. Their locations from New York served as a backdrop to her show. Her Indian wear was so progressive with bell-bottoms, oversized shirts and bustiers. We loved it. P.S. Atiya Shetty was her showstopper. Lastly, one of our favorites from this year was Hemant and Nandita, who revamped the Victorian era with simmering silhouettes in bright hues. Ruffles, high neckline, shoulder and back cutouts all made the most beautiful tops, skirts and dresses. Now that I've given you your weekly dose of trends, let's meet our first guest. Parthip Thyagarajan is the proud co-owner of Wedding Sutra, an online platform which is one of the most popular and trusted resources for Indian weddings. Whether you need information on Mehndi Walis, location ideas, fashion advice or caterers, it's all here along with lots more cool stuff. So let's get started. Hi Parthip, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Malika.
It's so lovely to have you here.
My pleasure.
So Parthip, tell our listeners how you got into this, because it's something so different. I know you got into it a while back before the whole online medium kind of, bursted the way it did now. So what made you get into this?
It's been a 16-year journey.
Really?
We started in 2000.
Okay.
So you can imagine what it was like to talk about an online wedding magazine.
Must have been crazy.
Yeah. So the kind of, the change we have seen and everything for the better has been amazing. The number of people today who are spending time online from a time when they would barely get enough time due to various factors.
Yeah.
So the idea really came about was me and my business partner Madhulika Mathur. We started Wedding Sutra, and it really came from her own experiences as a real bride. When she was getting married, she was very, very stressed and frustrated by the lack of information on everything relating to wedding planning, where to go, what to buy. And thus was formed weddingsutra.com in March 2000.
Wow.
Which was a one-stop place where a bride-to-be and her family members can get all the information on planning a wedding.
Okay. But, let me ask you, so 2000 is still, I think internet was still at a very nascent stage in India. Even internet connections were quite hard at that, slow at that point. So what made you go online? Because you could have easily started a company for wedding planning.
Well, in fact, very interestingly, there was nothing called wedding planning at that time. People were not even aware of what is a wedding planner.
Okay.
The awareness on a wedding planner started because of a couple of reasons. One is the boom in the event management institutes.
Yeah.
And the event management companies who then started venturing into weddings, and also with certain films which popularized the wedding planner.
Right.
And suddenly, Band Baja was a movie starring
Ranveer Singh and
Anushka, who really popularized this profession called wedding planner.
Yeah.
And therefore, you had a lot of print magazines, you had a lot of supplements relating to weddings, but you didn't have anything called a wedding planning company way back then. And we knew internet is the place which is easy, where information is easy to access, and where you can, with all the information and inspiration you can get, have the wedding of your dreams, and most importantly, have fun while planning your wedding.
Wow.
And that was the philosophy.
And you stuck to it, because I'm sure it must have been really hard in 2000
Very
to even
tough.
Get people to come online.
Yes.
And let alone to come to your website.
Well, I must say that today, while everybody has a net presence, when you talk of designers, stores, jewelers, venues, what is very interesting that back then, Malika, is many of these people didn't have any online presence.
Right.
So the
even
only
now,
place,
a lot of people don't have an
the
online
only
presence.
place, and there was no social media.
Right.
So the only place where they could get all the information, view the latest collections, when it came to bridal wear and stuff, it was weddingsutra.com. So we had an advantage back then. We continue to have an advantage
the first
today.
mover advantage, of
simply
course.
because weddings are, almost a national obsession.
Of course.
People love talking about weddings, which is the last wedding they attended.
It's one of the most extravagant things as well in India,
Absolutely.
right?
Besides being extravagant, it's really, in our country, it's associated with a lot of fun as well as tradition. And therefore, there is always a lot of our conversations revolve around weddings.
It's also like the one event that parents look forward to for like 25 to 30 years when they have a child, right?
Yes,
It's
yes.
like it's a build up to that. And I think the wedding is like a culmination of a certain phase of a child's life that's ending
Absolutely.
for a parent. So what were some of the obstacles that you faced at that time getting into this industry?
Well, of course, it was really making people aware that we are an online wedding magazine. A lot of people would ask us, "Aapka hard copy kidhar hai?" So
Okay,
we would
like a
say
pamphlet.
yes. So, "Aapka hard copy kidhar hai?" Or a lot of people associated with e-commerce, thinking we can book a venue, without realizing that even today, weddings are a very personal affair. You look for information, you seek inspiration and advice, but finally, a lot of your decisions are taken offline. So a lot of people imagine that we were a place where you could book a venue or buy your outfit or book all your vendors at the click of a mouse.
Yeah.
We thought to a certain extent we could do some of it, but we realized that's really a waste of
That
time.
was my next question. You never decided to go into e-commerce?
We did explore the opportunity, but we did not think way back then whether it was gift registry or e-commerce. There was really, the market size was big enough. Even today, we believe there are a lot of companies who are looking at gift registries, but it will take a while for
India to get
the behavior to change, whether it is setting up a gift registry or buying your stuff online, or even opting for wedding packages, which are very popular abroad, but which do not work in India because everything is personalized and is a combination of your personal tastes, your family tastes, and of course, your community factors.
Right, of course. And then now, I think going forward to 2016 to the present, there's of course so many wedding websites out there, right?
Yes.
And of course, Wedding Sutra stands out, I think, still as one of the premium ones. But what is the kind of competition that you face? Do you think work has changed for you?
Not really. Competition has, in fact, it has not really impacted us, in any way, that because we know, we are very confident about the fact that the kind of content we are creating, no one else is able to create.
So what sets you apart? What do you think is your differentiating factor?
It is our content, presentation and user experience, which really makes us different.
Okay.
And the focus we have on real weddings.
Right.
And the fact that it's really about inspiring to-be weds and not just providing information like the Just Dial companies or, very cluttered vendor listings, which is the central offering.
Right.
We never say we are a place which is the A to Z of weddings. Every wedding is different, and there is no wedding website which can give you an A to Z solution. We never say take the stress out of your weddings. Weddings will be a stressful affair, no matter whether you have a wedding planner or you don't have a wedding planner.
Yeah.
But it is really about how do you give relevant information, inspire them, and very, very
personalized,
and advice which is very, very is relevant to what you're looking for right now.
So that was my next question. How do you, get vendors onto your website? Because in India, there are vendors everywhere, especially for the wedding market.
Yeah.
So is there a certain process that you go through, like, that you've tested the vendors before? Because how do you curate the vendors on your website?
Yeah, that's a very important thing, because we have to be very careful that when we are recommending someone, somebody else is obviously going to go by Wedding Sutra's recommendation, and therefore the entire focus we have is on real weddings and submissions by real couples.
Okay.
So when they recommend somebody, we can be very, very there would be chances that somebody else has not had a great experience with that vendor. But what is important to tell somebody is that this one couple or more couples have had a great experience with this vendor. And more than Wedding Sutra reviewing their services, it's the photos from the celebration,
That's
be it
true.
of the makeup artist, be it the photographer or the decor, which literally speak 1,000 words.
Yeah, that's true. Tell our listeners, when is the right time to start preparing for a wedding? Like, for example, if a wedding is in December, how long do you think they will take to prepare for the wedding, and how should they start? Because there's so many components of it.
Here's a quick input for everyone who's planning a wedding. There is no such thing of 3 months before, 6 months before, or 9 months before. If you are a person who is open to working with new people, there is a lot of talent everywhere. So if you have not booked your makeup artist 6 months before, no stress. You might be able to find a good makeup artist even 3 months in advance. If you have not been able to zero in on the vendor, on a venue, there could be a possibility that there is a new venue which has come up.
Really? I
Yes.
find that hard to believe.
Yes, because
venues get booked up way in advance.
But this is really for those who are willing or interested in experimenting with whether it's new vendors or whether it's new venues.
Okay.
So the important thing to know is that don't think it's very cool to say you're a bridezilla and in the process stress yourself and others around you. Weddings should also be a time where you spend quality time with with your loved ones, and also do something which is really, really special for your loved one.
Yeah.
So if your fiancé is not somebody who's into too much of preparations, don't stress him or her by telling him or her that they need to put up checklists.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process. But, of course, you will not, and then and avoid comparing with somebody. Seek inspiration from someone. But at the end of the day, it is your wedding, and most important, of course, trust the decisions of those who are experienced.
Right. Someone like Wedding Sutra.
So, or even your family members, your aunts who've organized many weddings, your parents who know a lot. There are some things which may be very special to you, like your makeup artist, or the DJ you want, or the photographer you want. If there is something which is very special for you, you do not have to get pushed into the choices which others are telling you about. But yes, as I keep saying, every wedding is different. There are some people who start the search for a makeup artist 6 months before. They do trials with 15 makeup artists and they are yet unhappy. How is that different from somebody who started a search, say, 4 months before? I'm not even saying 2 months before. And
no, but there has to be like an ideal time. You can't wake up 1 month before your wedding and have everything fall into
not
place.
1 month before, but generally when it comes to a venue, again, as I say, every wedding is different. There are certain cities where venues are booked about a year in advance.
Right.
There are certain cities where venues are booked 6 to 7 months in advance. In some cities, there are makeup artists who do have their, who are the top Bollywood makeup artists. They do not give you your booking 6 months in advance, but yes, they do free up certain dates 3 weeks or 4 weeks in advance. So you have to be lucky to find the person you are comfortable with. That is more important.
That's more important.
Whether it is a DJ, whether it's a makeup artist, whether it's a designer, whether it's a photographer or the wedding decorator.
Right.
Choose someone whose work you like and you are comfortable with.
Okay.
And
how does one, start with the theme? Because in India, every wedding has a theme and there's so many themes out there.
Yes.
So do you think it starts, first you think of your invitations and that's how it starts, or you think of your decor and that's how it starts? So how would you propose for a bride to go about it?
I think weddings in India, while they are dreamy, they're also very practical. Your invitations are sent out at a time depending on how many people you need to say, So today a lot of people send out a save the date.
Yeah.
So the save the date literally represents who the couple is rather than the celebration, because quite often you zero in on the date and the venue and then you plan the celebrations. You have to keep a lot of factors like, the weather in mind, the traffic in mind.
Yeah.
You cannot always have a dress code for certain functions because quite often your guests, they leave work, they quickly go home, they barely have time to get ready, and then they come to your celebration. So if you're having a destination wedding, it's easy to plan and prepare for a theme. Whereas if you're having a big fat wedding or an intimate wedding in the city, it's really practical factors like the venue or the weather with which you have to work around.
What is your take on destination weddings? Because it's suddenly been a boom and everyone wants one, right? But
everyone dreams of a destination wedding.
But the logistics are pretty hard.
Yeah, but everybody is not able to have it. Like in my opinion, if you look at across the upper middle class and the upper segment families, 3 out of 10 couples are having a destination wedding, and I'm sure going forward it'll be 4 or 5. Destination weddings don't necessarily mean you have to go to Rajasthan or Kerala or Sri Lanka or Thailand. You could have a destination wedding on the outskirts of Bombay. You could go to Lonavala. You could go to Mahabaleshwar. Also, today's venues are projecting, even the hometown venues are projecting, like Renaissance Powai has become a hotspot for destination weddings. You're still in the city, you go there.
Yeah.
You could, so you could travel a little away, but it's more about the fact that you book certain number of rooms where your friends can just have a 2 or 3 day party. But yes, it might seem to be a very stress-free affair, but whether you have a big fat wedding in your city, in your hometown, 5 minutes away from your home, or whether you have a destination wedding,
it's still
400 kilometers or 4,000 kilometers away,
Yeah.
it is stressful. And we have to accept that. And there is no wedding planner or venue who can say that they will create a stress-free experience.
But why do you think that Indian weddings are so different from any other type of wedding in the world, right? And do you think that there's something that we should do about that? Like, should we change certain characteristics about it?
I think it's very important for people to know that while a wedding is a much awaited, celebration, and it is obviously a special day in your life, you should not do anything which stresses you or your loved ones or even the people who work at your weddings. You have to keep a certain positive energy at your celebration. Think of all the people who are working behind the scenes. Try to make everyone comfortable. And if there is positive energy in the air, you will be happy, and most importantly, your loved one will be happy.
Yeah.
Not only on that day.
Right.
But on the future
it's okay
days
if
as
some
well.
things are going wrong, as long as you have a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
That's your advice. And our listeners definitely want to know, tell us a little bit about celebrity weddings, because now they're splashed all over page 3.
Yes.
And they're really at a big scale. Have you attended any celebrity weddings?
Yes. No, in fact, you'll be surprised. Celebrity weddings are in fact at a very smaller scales. You look at one of the recent weddings which happened of Soha Ali Khan.
Yeah.
She had an at-home wedding. Urmila Matondkar had an at-home wedding.
Okay. But the reception is big.
Not necessarily. It could be. It could even be. Many of them announce that they will have a reception, but it just doesn't happen. Vidya Balan had a very intimate celebration at a bungalow in Bandra, which was kept a secret. The larger celebrity weddings I have attended are of Isha Deol and of her sister Ahana Deol. They both were very big fat weddings, fabulously organized by Hema Malini, which was a very nice mix of traditional, very with a lot of cultural elements, with a fairly grand reception and a fun sangeet. So I think it was a very nice celebration, which was literally, it really was a reflection. It was a reflection of the bride's roots.
Yeah.
And I think what was very interesting is Hema Malini put in a lot of effort to invite all the people she knew personally. There was a lot of hard work.
Okay.
And which is why somebody commented that people should realize that when you're a celebrity, there's also a lot of hard work if you have to plan a wedding, because how do you figure out how many to call, whom not to call?
Yeah.
And there were other preparations, especially if you have people like Narendra Modi and the Bachchans attending the celebration.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, even the Bachchans had quite a private event.
Even Aishwarya and Abhishek, they had a very private at-home celebration.
Yeah. Well, on that glamorous note, let's take a break and we'll be right back with lots more interesting stuff.
It was rated Goregaon's most intelligent podcast. It was the best new podcast of the day when it was launched. And now, the irreverent brand of attempted humor and botched education is coming your way. You have many burning questions.
So what is the Brexit? What do mathematicians do, man? I mean...
Introducing Simplified, a weekly podcast that deconstructs issues around you, such as, what on earth is Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is just another currency like the rupee or dollar. The difference here is it's a virtual currency.
Do resolutions in cameras really matter?
They think that just because a number is higher, what they're getting is actually more.
And encryption.
So Encryption, okay, is a process of encoding messages in such a fashion that only the intended recipient sees it in its intended format.
Hosted by Narendra Shanoy, a very wise man who can't stop making B.G. Woodhouse references. And Deepak Gopalakrishnan, who calls himself Chuck, a madman who can't stop making poor jokes.
Naren, what do you call a forest where you find all the latest news?
I don't have a good feeling about
A topical rainforest.
Follow Chuck and Naren as they scour Google and read Wikipedia for you and condense it into language you can understand. Simplified, helping you appear smarter to an audience that knows no different.
Hey guys, welcome back. Hi Parthip again.
Thank you.
So Parthip, tell us, something a little scandalous. Tell us about a fashion faux pas or some disaster that happened at a wedding that you were at.
Well, I must tell you that one of the common mistakes a bride makes is, focus so much on her look and over-prepare herself that she looks much older.
Yeah, that's true.
And a lot of people don't realize that when you overdo it,
Yeah.
it's okay to be unrecognizable. It's okay to look like to be inspired by your favorite Bollywood star. But what's the use of...
You know what I find a lot? I think that brides use a different shade of foundation to make themselves look fairer.
Yes.
Which I think makes them look older for some reason.
Yes.
And
Even hairstyling.
Hairstyling, oh my God, I think the bun definitely needs to go, or they need to do something a little less poofy on the bun. I think smaller buns would definitely
Or even
work
updos
better.
don't suit everybody.
Not at all. It depends on your face structure, really. I'm so glad that the heavy dupatta on the brides has kind of disappeared now, and now they have the detachable thing, like a net detachable piece, which they can remove once they've entered the mandap. But I think also is that most celebrity brides actually downplay themselves in their wedding. They actually are dressed very simply, and I feel like all of us imitating the celebrity brides do just the opposite.
Yes.
So it just
The
kind of
big
becomes a
difference between a
disaster.
celebrity bride and a real bride is a celebrity bride faces the camera every day.
Right.
So she is very comfortable in front of the camera, and she's probably played the role of a bride so many times on screen, at a fashion show, as the finale, as a showstopper. So let's put it this way, it's no big deal for her.
Right.
Whereas real brides seek inspiration from Bollywood stars.
Yeah.
The key is really that to use your own common sense and to trust your own intuition. It's literally a case of too many cooks
Yeah.
spoiling the broth. If you are taking inputs from a makeup artist, hairstylist, your mother, your mother-in-law, your designer, your jeweler, your friend, what is finally happening is an absolute
You
mishmash.
look like a Christmas tree.
Exactly. So you are not using your common sense, which is what quite often happens. I think it's very simple. You can look much better. You can look happier.
Yeah.
Simply if you use your common sense.
I think understated also has such beauty in it, honestly. Like even just a dull gold lehenga with like dashes of red, as opposed to the entire thing being red and then having like jewelry on top of it and red lipstick. Sometimes I think that can look a little
But even
overboard.
understated, we have to be very careful, because sometimes you just tell it happens very often that the bride keeps telling the makeup artist, I don't want to look like a Christmas tree, or I don't want to look overdecked. But then she does not look like a bride. It
Yeah,
happens
then she
like
looks
that also.
washed out.
Yes.
And the
she's-
background is so overpowering
Absolutely.
that she
You
can
need
just
that.
drown in it.
Absolutely. And then you have guests in all the glitzy outfits. So you really need to stand out. You need to look like a bride, but you also need to look yourself.
But that's quite hard to, walk that line.
Absolutely. Because there is so much, and I always say that sometimes too much of information confuses you too.
Right.
So trust your own intuition,
Yeah.
use common sense, and take the advice of those you love while seeking inspiration everywhere, from the movies or from Wedding Sutra or from your favorite fashion inspiration source like Styleogram.
Oh, thank you for that. But do you think there are any other tips that you would want to give to a young bride? Like, I know heavy lehengas is, for me, an absolute no-no.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, even if it looks gorgeous, you can still get a lighter version of it. So is there anything like that at Wedding Sutra you guys believe in?
We believe in the fact that your hairstyling is as important as your makeup.
Yeah.
Second is to invest in a good photographer who is able to capture your bridal moments, because that is you spend so much time searching for your lehenga and your makeup artist. If you do not have some nice full-length photos, you don't have some nice close-up photos, it's actually quite a waste.
Right.
I have spoken to so many brides over the years, and even grooms. There's nobody who ever regrets that they did not wear an expensive lehenga or that the decor was not appropriate. There are just two regrets many have. One, they did not invest in a good photographer, and second, they did not invest enough time in planning their honeymoon.
Okay.
Because the honeymoon deserves as much importance as the wedding. Obviously, the spends will not be like the wedding.
Yeah.
You don't. When I say time, I mean quality time. Really trying to understand what is it that you are looking for from your holiday, what is it that you'd like to explore together, and how would you like your journey to start together as a couple. That is a very important tip I would leave for
Are there
brides.
any new honeymoon destinations out right now? Like I know about 10 years ago it was Australia, and there's always a phase where all the brides and grooms are going for their honeymoon. Is there...
So New Zealand has really been a hot destination in
Yeah.
2016. The adventure honeymoons is
Right.
really, and a lot of people look for adventures in their honeymoons, and
Yeah.
many of course look for places they have not traveled to earlier.
Okay. And so this was for the bride. Is there any tricks that you would want to give to the parents of the bride or to the family members? Because I know they're dealing actually with all the dirty work of the wedding, right? They're dealing with everything.
I think it's more than anything else. While they might say it's stressful. I think everybody enjoys the process, which is why in India weddings have not really got outsourced to wedding planners. Even today in India, I say that you don't have many wedding planners. You actually have wedding coordinators.
Okay.
I
They
think every
execute your
they
ideas.
execute. They coordinate the big day. They coordinate with the logistics team, the entertainers, or the venue on the big day or the days before it. I think most people enjoy the process of shortlisting vendors themselves,
Yeah.
negotiating with them, and then.
But you know
deciding.
what I think really worked for me in my wedding and my siblings' weddings was my parents designated close family and friends for certain things. So whether it was taking care that the guests have eaten, or someone was taking care of the transportation, someone was taking care of the quality of the food. I think when you do that as well, that really kind of allows the parents at least to have a good time, especially if you can trust the people that you've designated to.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you might have professionals all around, but it's best if your family members are there to work closely with the professionals.
Yeah.
And that really helps. And one must also ensure that the family members who are working with the professionals, they should be there to help them out and not hinder them or cause additional stress in any way.
And I think also a lot of times people get carried away when something doesn't turn out the way they envisioned it to be. And I think at that moment you have to tell yourself that it's okay, because no one else really knows what your vision was.
Absolutely.
And they're fine just the way it is. So you can't let it show on your face.
Absolutely.
And just go with the flow of it, because it's not going to be perfect. No wedding is exactly how someone
And that is a
envisioned it.
word I often tell my content team to avoid printing, whether it's perfect bride or perfect wedding, because perfect is literally a state of the mind. What might be perfect for you may not be perfect for me.
Right. That's so true. I didn't think about that. I'm glad you'd avoid using that word. So what are the latest trends in the wedding industry that we're seeing right now?
If you look at the wedding industry in general, there are a lot of brides who are looking for something which they do not associate with the term big fat wedding.
Okay.
It was really a very popular term a couple of years back. They just look for something which is way cooler than big fat.
Yeah.
And they do not want wastage of anything, money or anything. So I think today's brides and grooms are fairly practical. They are looking for a fun celebration.
Yeah.
But the number of functions has increased significantly.
Has
the
it increased or decreased?
Yeah, no, it's increased, except that the celebrations continue between homes, smaller venues, and the big venues.
Yeah.
So today, if you look at the certain traditions which were really not part of South Indian weddings, they're all becoming a part of South Indians' wedding. There were a lot of functions which were very Western, which is like a cocktail party or the bachelorette. They're all becoming a part of Indian weddings too.
I think in the last 3 or 4 years, I think what really was very popular about 3 years ago was this one event, which was the day event by a poolside or in the water, and then all the guests would jump in as well in their clothing.
Yeah.
That became very popular. So is that trend still
it's
on?
There. Anything which gets you to have a little more fun over a few more days is on. So therefore, because the number of functions are increasing, since you were talking to me about the fashion trend, brides are may spend a lot on one outfit, but they are much open to experimenting with emerging designers for the pre-wedding celebrations, be it with the pre-wedding shoot or the post-wedding shoot, the cocktail, the mehendi. But Sangeet is the celebration where they want to dance away, and therefore they spend a lot of time figuring out which outfit to wear for the Sangeet.
I think also just with the way our society is progressing, especially the upper classes, where, the bride is given so much more freedom. Like, never could our parents imagine jumping into a pool in front of their in-laws.
Yes.
And today every bride is doing that. And
Absolutely.
I think they're given, that freedom to wear whatever they want, to experiment, especially in the mehendi.
Yes.
And that's what I think really adds like a fun, quirky dose to a wedding. Like, I recently had attended a wedding where there was a pajama party as one of the night events, and that was so interesting.
This is what I talk about. The number of functions has increased.
Yeah.
So there is because the idea is to have more fun and not be bound by tradition and protocol alone.
Right, that's true. So, we're talking about upper class weddings, but the majority of India is not upper class. Yeah. So, can you tell our listeners on how to budget shop in a wedding or to create a magical wedding on a budget?
Everything has to start with your venue. You cannot have a dream theme at every venue. Each venue is suited for a different kind of celebration, and each venue works for a certain kind of style. You cannot wear a very, very Western cocktail gown at a temple wedding, and it doesn't make sense to be weighed down with a bright red lehenga at a beach wedding.
Yeah.
So once you decide on the venue which works around you, works for you and your family, then decide on the other elements. What is the one thing which is very important for you? Make sure your family and the people who are involved with managing your wedding are aware of it. Once you figure out what is the cost of that, and you have a budget in your mind, because again, when you talk of budgeting for a wedding, there are some middle class families who may spend 10 lakhs, there may be some who spend 20 lakhs, there might be some who spend 30 lakhs or more. Every family, depending on the community, has a budget in their head. Once you know what is it that you certainly want, there might be some brides who might say, I can have a simple wedding, but I want to wear a sabyasachi lehenga. There could be another bride who will say that, I want to have a very, very simple temple wedding, but I want to have a grand reception with a lot of fun entertainment elements. And once you know what it is that you certainly want, it becomes very easy to work around your budget and allocating for what is very important and special for you.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. Girls, I hope you've taken all the tips. We're going to go into a break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tejas.
Hi, I'm Jishnu, and we are the nerds from Geek Fruit. If you're a nerd, this is exactly the kind of show you didn't even know you were looking for.
And if you don't believe us, you can check out Geek Fruit exclusively on Savan.
May the force be with you.
You nerds.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're all set to jump into our rapid fire. Parthip, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. Coolest wedding you've attended?
Bali.
Okay, anyone in particular?
At the Ayana Resort in Bali.
Okay. Favorite designer for bridal lehengas?
Sabyasachi.
Simple or OTT?
Simple.
Your thoughts on destination weddings?
Cool.
Funniest experience with a bride?
Has to be with a bridezilla who asked too many questions and whose number I saved as avoid.
Oh, really? One thing you hate about your job.
There's nothing which I hate. I love everything about my job.
Okay. Silver, gold or color?
Platinum.
Okay. A bridegroom should never wear?
Too much of embroidery.
Okay. Secret to a happy marriage?
Respecting the other one's choices and not being judgmental.
Okay. Song of the season for the Sangeet?
There are too many in my head, but
Kala Chashma, maybe?
Yes.
I like that one. One thing every bride must own?
well, there are so many things which are, whether it's Louboutins or to dance away, or a very nice choli is something which is designer
blouse,
choli,
yeah.
which can be mixed and matched always
In the future?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever had a runaway bride experience?
No.
Thank God. If you didn't do this, what would you do?
I would have been working I would probably have been doing a boring job working in a corporate house.
Really? I thought it would be something creative.
Yeah.
Your personal favorite wedding theme?
Temple wedding.
Okay. A wedding event which is bizarre yet effective?
Pool party.
Do you think the extravagance of weddings is justified?
I would say to each his own. A wedding is your personal experience, and it's best if the others are not judgmental.
Okay. Who are you inspired by? Internationally, someone who does what you do? Or anyone?
I'm inspired by a lot of people who may not be from the wedding walk of life, but who are
Entrepreneurs. Yeah. Okay. What's next for you?
grow and grow Wedding Sutra.
Best dressed bride.
I think Lara Datta was very nicely, wore a beautiful gown for her beach wedding.
Okay. And finally, what makes you smile?
When I meet someone and they tell, when a bride tells me Wedding Sutra is her Bible.
Oh, wow. That must be so nice to hear. Well, thank you so much, Parthip, for all your wonderful words and advice. I'm sure listeners have gained a lot from this. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure being here.
Thank you so much for tuning in yet again on the Styleogram podcast. You can stay in touch with us on Facebook at Styleogram Official and on Instagram at Styleogram_official. You can also tune in on iTunes and SoundCloud. See you soon.